And today I'm going to make a modern version of a filled pasta for you called caramela di pasta. Translates to caramels, and I'll let you know why later on. We want to start with the filling. So in 3 tablespoons of melted butter, I have sautéing here about 1/4 pound of prosciutto crudo, or raw cured ham, and I've added about 1/3 cup of flat leaf parsley. And with it, I want, about 1/3 cup of pine nuts. This is going to be a very interesting texture for the pasta that I'm going to make for you. So really, you just want to flavor the pine nuts with the butter and the parsley, and then this is ready to mix with the cheese. And for the cheese today, we're not using ricotta. We're using something called gorgonzola. So I want about 8 ounces of that mashed up in a bowl. And then all we have to do is add our pine nut, prosciutto, parsley, and butter mixture to the cheese. So that's all there is to the filling. And believe me, this is a very tasty filling. And for this pasta, you really only need a little bit of this in the filling. So mix that all up and set this aside. And actually, you could do this ahead. Do this step first. All I did was cut off the top of the beet. You see, just cut it off this far. Put it in a piece of foil, raw, then close up the foil and put it in the oven. And bake this just until a knife can easily go through that beet. You see, then when you peel this beet, you will not have leached out all of the color if you had done this in boiling water. So that's a very easy way to do beets. Well, now that you know that, let me show you my beet pasta dough, because basically I made it the way Kevin was making it with Clara. And this is a dough that has just 2½ cups of flour. You could add a little bit of semolina flour to it if you wanted. 4 eggs, a little bit of salt, and 1 beet that's been pureed. And I'm going to work with this in small pieces. So whenever you're working with fresh pasta, you want to make sure that you work with 1 piece at a time and keep the additional pieces covered. Then, on a floured surface, do you hear my pot over there? That's my boiling water for the pasta telling me that it's ready. You want to work on a floured surface, and all I want to do is flatten down the pasta. Okay, now that you've flattened the pasta, you need a pasta machine, or you could do this by hand. So here's mine. It's just a hand crank. It has a knob here with numbers, which will tell you how flat you can make the dough. So you really have to go through all the settings that are on your machine, and every machine is different. So there's my sheet, and now it's much too long to use like that. So I'm just going to cut it in half. And whenever you're working with pasta sheets like this, you want to make sure that you keep them covered so that they don't dry out. And now all I want to do is even this up a little bit. And then a sheet like this, I want to cut into about 3-inch widths to make the caramelle. So I cut the sheet in half lengthwise, and then I make my little rectangles, you see, and using the first cut as a guide, go all the way down the sheet. Then, of course, you're going to re-roll all of those scraps later on. So now you have your pieces, and again, put a little flour down so that they don't stick. I'll do 2 or 3 for you. And there's our filling. And now we want to fill this. Now remember, I'm using a gorgonzola filling here, which is a very, very flavorful filling. So you only need, I don't want to lose any of that because that's very expensive cheese. I only want a tad, a little bit on the dough. You'd be surprised what a punch this is going to pack. Then here's how you make the caramelle. See, fold the dough over and then fold it again. And then take that seam and just pinch it. You want to make sure that is closed, because if that isn't closed, all the filling will come out. So mine are all ready to go in. So in they go. And fresh pasta like this is only going to take, about 3 minutes to do. So while they're cooking, I'm going to put the cover back on now and let those come back to the boil. We're going to make the sauce for this, which is very, very fast. You want to start out with butter. 2 sticks of butter, unsalted butter, because there's salt in the cheese. 3 cloves of garlic, and some flat leaf Italian parsley. And here we have 1 1/4 cups of packed Italian flat leaf. And all we have to do is pulse this in a food processor. And you really don't need a lot of this sauce on the pasta. This is enough really to dress about 9 dozen of the caramelle di pasta. And look what you have, and you can keep this sauce in a jar in the refrigerator. So now, since Sally's going to be coming over, I want to heat some of this up. So I'm going to take, just about a cupful and put this right over here and just let that sit there until I'm ready for it. Now, let me see how we're doing here. I may have to give this a stir. Yes, I do, because they are coming up to the top. And I want to keep my eye on this now because I don't want to overcook those. So you really have to taste one. Sometimes you can tell just by the feel, but I want you to look at those. Not one of them has split apart, and they're ready to take out. So when you're ready to eat those, they go directly on the platter that you're going to be serving them on. Here's mine. Now, here's my sauce, and you see how quickly this goes together. And wait till you see this over the top of the pasta. This is absolutely wonderful. So when this is melted, then you pour it just like that, right over the top. And let me bring that over and show you, give you a toss. Look at this. Doesn't this look colorful and beautiful? And it needs nothing else, no cheese, because of course you have that wonderful gorgonzola cheese in the center. And you see how beautiful they all stayed together.